This is the Sports Precinct on Capricorn FM. Fridays, 6 to 7 p.m.
So we're going to wrap up the show with a conversation with the South African Football Players Union President Thulaganyo Gaoshubelwe, and talking to us. And firstly, just before we deal on different cases of players being frozen out for not signing contracts, extensions, and those who are signing pre-contracts and so on and so forth, just maybe about what they as South African Football Players Union feel about what is happening now as we are in uncertain times at the moment. Thulaganyo, good evening and welcome to Capricorn.
Good evening, Kwena. Good evening to the Capricorn listeners.
Thank you very much for talking to us. Appreciate your time on this Good Friday. Just firstly, from South African Football Players Union, Thulaganyo, I mean, how do you guys feel about the extension, the lockdown, and the fact that at the moment we're not even sure when is football, if football will resume?
Look, it's a very tough situation, Gwen. I'm not even too sure whether it's Good Friday or not. It's Good Friday when it comes to the calendar. But in real times and real life, I don't think this is a Good Friday. We're having a very serious challenge, which is a bit complex. I mean, there's a whole lot of anxiety among the members, the players, because they don't know what the future holds. I mean, yesterday the president pronounced on the extension of the lockdown. We had hoped, even in a hopeless situation, you still have a hope. We had hoped that probably something better will be announced. But as things stand, we are locked down. Now, a number of players who are uncertain about what the future holds. But I can tell you that at this particular moment in time, we find comfort in the fact that we have not heard anything contrary to the league since they declared that they will continue paying the monthly grants of the clubs to the clubs and so forth. So we still find comfort at least in that aspect. As to what will happen going forward is a different matter altogether. We also found comfort in the fact that SuperSport manager Stanley Matthews indicated that they will pay until the end of June. So that at least gives us some assurance. But I can tell you that this situation is not unique to South Africa. All over the world, I mean, people are talking about this particular matter. But we've announced, and we have said this before, look, currently we are on lockdown. We don't know what's going to happen beyond it. But as South Africa, we're not yet at that point where we are discussing the issues of whether there's a contract or there's no contract, whether there must be issues of cutting salaries or not, because we need to look into quite a number of things. I mean, there's an act that talks about the issues when it comes to the issues of operational requirements. There's an act, it also talks about what needs to happen if you need to sit down and alter the contract of people. FIFA has just produced a document or guidelines document called FIFA COVID regulations.
Yeah.
That begins to try and explain what happens. You recall, if you would have seen the first document, FIFA had spoken about force majeure, but they got to understand the difficulty and what that could really imply. Going forward in terms of the discussions. But we are in constant contact, of course, with the league to find out exactly where issues are, what needs to happen. And we've also made peace. A call to other clubs to say, please, we request for cool heads in these difficult times. We want them to exercise, patience and caution, as and when we deal with the issues of player salaries. So it's a very difficult issue. There are players whose contracts are coming to an end at the end of June. I mean, if we wake up after the 30th of April and there's something that can be done, players can play behind the closed door and they finish the season better. But what happens then if the players, go beyond 2020? What happens to a contract that Kwena has signed, with Capricorn FM, and Thulaganyo still wants Kwena to play for him this particular season, because from the 1st of July, Kwena must earn his salary from Capricorn FM.
I mean, case in point, George Maluleka with Kaizer Chiefs and Mamelodi Sundowns having already signed a pre-contract. You know, on that, Thulaganyo, in the interest of time, you know, what's the situation in terms of those players that are, lack of a better phrasing, being frozen out for not signing contract extensions or for signing pre-contracts where players now, because they've already signed a pre-contract with another team, now they are not allowed to play. I mean, we've seen and had the well-documented story of Rodney Ramagarera that happened with Polokwane City and many other stories. I mean, Letlhaonola Majoro, there's a lot of other stories that we've heard on that. Brief as you can. What's the situation and what's SAFPU's view on that?
Well, we believe that sanity must prevail and the rules must take its course. There is nothing that the players are doing, you know, or anything wrong that they're doing by signing any contract or a pre-contract within the 6 months of the last term of the contract, because that's what FIFA rule says. And we believe, we move from the premise that says these people we're talking about, Kwena, just like you and I, are professionals. Just like you and I, they know exactly what they want and what they're doing. And they would never do anything to compromise their livelihood. They would never do anything, you know, to compromise their own professional careers. They understand that this game is played by the rules, just like any other. I mean, a club can buy a player and say, we'll see you at the end of the season. What does that really mean? Does it therefore mean that that player will sell games when they play with them? No, our view is that clubs, as much as we understand that sometimes clubs say they want to plan and they build, but clubs have got a lot of time to look at things and say, okay, we want to build without these players. But when it happens abruptly, it raises a lot of questions to say, but we say we're working together, we say we are professionals. But if the employer is so professional, why is the employer not sitting down and saying, I've got this contract, I understand that it's time for you to go, but you've got a responsibility here. You need to finish your contract. It's amazing that sometimes when it's clubs that want the player to respect their contract, then they will definitely respect that particular contract. When they bench a player, a player would just accept to say, okay, it's fine, let me see it through. But I think we really need to sit down and engage with the clubs and say, look, this is what the situation is. This player has not done anything whatsoever to transgress the rules. He is well within his right to sign a pre-contract, and players must understand. And I think the education must also go to supporters and fans to say to them, this is what happens. It's allowed. If you are to leave, let's say tomorrow you go to Thulaganyo FM, we understand that you've got a notice that you need to serve. Even the Labor Relations Act allows for that. People serve notices everywhere in walks of life. There are executives who would say, I am leaving tomorrow. I'm the CEO of Club A, but you know what? It's time for me to move on. I'm going to serve notice. You know why you serve notice? Because you want to change. That institutional memory. You need to sit down and say, okay, give me this, give me that, then I teach you. And if the club believes that it's ready, to let go of the services of that particular player who would have signed a pre-contract, it's okay, but the player must be treated with the utmost respect, because this person would have served the club, and they're saying, it's time for me to move. Sometimes it's not even about greener pastures, but it's about greener pastures in the sense of there are other challenges. They might have won everything with a particular team, and they want to move somewhere and say, okay, let me just go there and get a different challenge.
Right. Well, unfortunately, Thulaganyo, a conversation that maybe we need to pick up at some other time, but unfortunately we are out of time. Thank you very much for taking time to speak to us on this Good Friday. Stay safe, stay home, and hopefully we will have football resuming sooner than later. Appreciate it.
No, thank you so much, Kwena, for always giving us the opportunity to express our views and talk to your listeners, and let them stay home, stay safe, and self-isolate where necessary.
Absolutely. That's Thulaganyo Gaoshubelwe. And that effectively brings us to the end of the Good Friday edition of the Capricorn FM Sports Precinct. As we always say, please, guys, stay home, stay safe.